Good afternoon, everybody. All right. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Friday webinar today. My name is Chris, and I am a sales engineer here at Office Gemini. In today's webinar, we are going to cover AP automation with Dokmee. But before we get started, I want to explain how this webinar is going to work. Because we have a lot of people attending today, I have everyone muted. If you have a question or a comment, please use the chat option or raise your hand. Today I have Scott and Arlene helping, and they will help answer any questions as I go through the presentation. So let's go ahead and get started. First, let's talk about the agenda for today real quick. We're going to look at what we're going to cover in the webinar. First, the introduction, we've pretty much already taken care of that. Next, we're going to look at the problem with today's AP processes, the causes, and more importantly, what is the solution? Today, I'm going to show you how Dokmee automates an AP process, and I'm going to give you an overview of two things that you'll see in the demo, smart zone recognition or automatic zone recognition, and the workflow process. Then we're going to go into Dokmee, and we're going to see how easy it is to quickly take a group of invoices through the entire AP approval process, from the time they're received through the approval process, and then having them paid and filed away. And last, we're going to look quickly at how easy it is to set up these automatic recognition zones and a workflow in Dokmee. And at the end, we'll answer any questions. Also, Scott and Arlene, they are here, and they'll be chatting during the presentation. All right, now let's look at the problem and also at the solution. So accounts payable today, it's not a pretty picture. The problem is it's manual paper-based AP processes, and they have high operational costs. Why is that? Well, it costs money to process an invoice, and using people, paper, that equals high transaction costs. Basically, it takes longer to pay an invoice. There are also human errors when we involve people. The more people who touch an invoice, the greater the chance someone's going to make a mistake, and we have to correct these. Also, a manual approval process takes longer. If we look at an invoice that's shuffled from accounts payable to a department manager and then to a director for approval, and then back to being paid, that process can take weeks. It can even take longer. And invoices, they can also be lost. They can be misplaced, and that further adds time, and requires more company resources to correct. Then there's also late payment penalties, and we're not taking advantage of maybe some early payment discounts that are available to us. And at the end of the day, we have no visibility or very little visibility into what is actually going on. Where in the approval process is everything? Who has what? It can feel like something just goes into a black hole. We do not have good control over this. So here is the good news. There is a solution. There's a better way. It's AP automation with Dokmee. With Dokmee, we can reduce these transaction costs. We eliminate the paper and reduce human errors. We have automatic approval automation, what it will do, it'll reduce turnaround times from weeks to days, even hours. And this means, goodbye to late payment penalties. We can now take advantage of early payment discounts. And now we also have instant visibility and can follow each transaction through the process, also with an audit trail in the event we need to come back and look at something later. So with Dokmee, operational costs are less. It is truly a better way. So how do we do it? Well, next I'm going to give you an overview of two specific technologies that we use and that I'm going to use today. The first that you see here is automatic zone recognition. So Dokmee uses automatic zone recognition to automatically pull information off of a document. What it does is it takes that document and it'll look into a specific zone or even the entire page and pull specific information. It uses, we can use text OCR, ICR, MICR. We can also use barcodes or QR codes. We can pull all of that off of a document. And the example that we're going to look at, what Dokmee is going to do, it's going to take an invoice and it's going to pull off of it, the vendor name, the invoice number, the invoice amount, and to auto-populate these index fields. The index fields are going to be used when the document's stored, and everything's going to be set up to be done automated. So there is no human intervention involved. Imagine invoices arriving in a folder and automatically being imported, indexed, filed, sent through the approval process, and then paid, all in the same day. And with Dokmee, that is possible. Now, next I want to show you the workflow that we're going to use today. This slide, it shows a graphical view of the process we will see in the demo. In Dokmee, we create workflows and map them to business processes. Fast approvals and lower costs is the result because we eliminate the manual paper process that's typically used. Typically, like, it takes weeks for something like this, for an invoice to go through and be processed, approved, and paid. And with Dokmee, it can happen in a day. What you're looking at here, each one of these blue boxes is a workflow, and underneath them are business rules that Dokmee uses to automatically route the invoice through the approval process. The top workflow has been expanded. Here's how it works. An invoice is going to come in. It's going to be verified. A cost center is going to be assigned to it. A notification email is going to be sent automatically, and it's automatically going to be routed to the right department for approval. Once it gets there, each of these department approval workflows, underneath them, they contain the rules for an approval hierarchy. So Dokmee is going to automatically route that invoice based on the invoice amount. So an invoice under $1,000 will need a manager approval. From $1,000 to $5,000, we need a director approval. Over that, over $5,000 will need to be approved by a vice president. And so after an invoice is approved, it's going to move to the last workflow where it's quickly paid and then it's securely stored. So how does all this fit together? I'm going to share on my VM right now and show you how this works. Let's see. Okay. So here we go. What I'm going to do, I am going to import some invoices, and I have 9 of them here. Now, I'm manually importing these right now. This can be set up to have this done automatically. These can be run as services. For the sake of this, I'm doing it manually. So we have them here. I'm just going to look at them. They look all good. We're going to take them to the next process. So what Dokmee is going to do, it's going to use that automatic zone recognition, and it is going to pull that information off of each one of these documents. It's going to pull the vendor name, the invoice number, the amount, the date. So it's going to automatically index each one of those, and that's what's happening right now. And when that's finished, it's going to take us to export them. And again, this process can be set up to be done automatically. For this, I'm doing it. I'm just kind of doing it manually, so I can kind of show you how it works. Let's see. We'll do that. Make sure that apply. Okay. Okay. So now Dokmee is going to take those, and we're going to OCR them. We're going to rename them according to the vendor name and the invoice number, and we're going to store them. Let's go ahead and do that. All right. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go and we're going to find these invoices. Now what's happening is they're being put into the DMS or into storage with those indexes that Dokmee has pulled already populated. And they're also going to be entering a workflow. I'm going to go ahead and minimize this and pull up Dokmee. So I'm going to log in here. I'm going to log in as an admin. This is the, for those who are unfamiliar with Dokmee, it's accessed via a web interface. It works with any browser. I'm using Internet Explorer here, but it will work with any of the major browsers. It'll work with Microsoft Edge. It will work with Chrome. It will work with Firefox. It will work with Apple Safari. Let me go ahead and log in. That's our batch being done. And I'm logging in as an admin. When I log in, it's going to take me to a list of cabinets right here. So with Dokmee, we can create cabinets, and inside them they're going to hold the folders and files. And we can have as many of these as we want. We name them whatever we want. Typically we're going to name them after the type of document they're going to hold. I can see all of these cabinets now because I'm logged in as an admin. But in the event you wanted to restrict a user, like an HR person or an AP person, to just the cabinets that pertain to their job, you'd be able to do that. Let me go ahead and log in. What I do is I went into the AP Invoices cabinet. That takes me to the home screen. And this may look familiar because we actually modeled this after Windows 8. Each one of these tiles represents something that we can do inside of Dokmee. Very, very intuitive, very easy to learn for anyone to learn. Right now I'm just going to go into the File Explorer so we can find those invoices. And as we pull up to the left, you can see this is the name of the cabinet that we're in, and underneath it are folders, and inside the folders are files. So those invoices, as they were scanned in, what Dokmee does is it automatically pulls that information, populates the indexes, and then pulls them into this invoices for approval folder. We can see them all right here. I'll open up one so we can take a look at it. And notice they were named Invoice 1, Invoice 2, Invoice 3 when I imported them. But what we did is we took those index values and we used those values to rename them something better so that we can look at them and see and have a better idea of what they are. So we have the vendor name and we have the invoice number, and that's how we've named each one of these. So I'm going to pull it up in the viewer, and we can look at this invoice and we can see the name. We can see the invoice number, which was pulled from here from the invoice date, the vendor name, the invoice amount, and the status. This is a new invoice. We just, it's just been arrived into the workflow. Now let me close this out. So what happens, I'm going to go back to this home page and show you. These invoices come in and they immediately enter the AP workflow. And I'm signed in as the admin. Maybe I'm the AP admin. I get a message that there are some things, an email that there are some things waiting for me that need my attention. I would log into Dokmee, and this bottom tile here is the workflow inbox. And this is the actual place where I will see, the files that need my attention or the tasks that I need to do, so I can quickly, take an action and move these things on in the process. So if I open it up, I'm going to see the 9 invoices that we just scanned in, and I'm going to see what we need to do. We need to validate them. We need to index them. We need to assign a cost center. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and pick out a couple, and we'll send them through the process. So let's try this first one here. So what the clerk's going to do, she's going to look at this, and she's just going to verify that the invoice is good. And after she does that, she's going to, give it the okay. And Dokmee's going to ask her what the cost center is. We're going to send these to sales. The cost center for sales is 100. So it's going to ask her for that so it knows where to send it. We're going to approve it. And this invoice, it's going to pop out of her view now, and it's moved on in the workflow to where it needs to go to get that approval. I'm going to go ahead and send another one on to sales. Let's see, we'll do this one. I know this one's over $5,000, so I'm going to pull this one. Okay, she would do the same thing here. She's going to verify the invoice, and she's going to approve it. Dokmee's going to ask her what is the cost center. We'll send this one to sales as well. We're going to approve it. We also have some other cost centers, so we'll take a couple and we'll send them those places. Let's go. I'm going to pick this one so it's easy to see. It's all 6s. We're going to pick that one, and we're going to send that one to manufacturing, which is the cost center is 200. And then I'm going to pick one more. We're going to send that one to HR. This one's all 9s. That'll be an easy one to see. And the cost center there is 300. So as these are being approved, they're moving out of her workflow or her view, and they're moving on to the next step in this approval process. One of the things that's really, we have complete visibility into what's going on into the system right now as well. I can show you that. So if I want to see where are all my invoices, I could just do a search quickly to see this. I could come over here and I want to see every invoice whose status does not equal paid. So that's going to show me all the open invoices, or status does not equal rejected. Let's see, we'll do that one, not equal to rejected. Okay, and so we're going to go ahead and search. It's going to pull back all of these invoices that we have in the system. The ones in red, those are invoices that have been deleted out of the system. I'd be able to go in and I'd be able to restore them if I wanted to. The ones in black are the ones that are currently active in the system, and we can go through and we can see where they are. Manager approval needed in the cost center. These are new. Manager approval needed in the cost center, new. So we'll be able to quickly go in and look and see where every invoice in our system is. Let me log out of here. And so if I was the sales manager, and what I would do, I would get an email saying there's something that needs your attention inside of Dokmee. We need your approval. So I would know to log in. And I could see down here in my workflow inbox, there's two things waiting for me. I'd open that up, and these are the two files that we had approved a minute ago. So we're going to go ahead and open them up and approve them. So he's going to check, make sure everything is okay on the invoice, and he's going to go ahead and approve it. Since this one's under $1,000, it's just going to go ahead and go to the next. It's going to pop out of his view, and it's going to go off to be paid and filed away. I picked this one here. This one's over $5,000, so it's still going to need another step. But he is going to have to look at it, make sure it's okay. You know, maybe he even wants to take some notes on it. You know, like he could say whatever he wants. It's going to go on to the vice president, who'll be able to see everything that he says on it. Approve it. And it's going to pop out of his view as well. Okay, now one of these went on for a vice president approval, and the VP, he could be sitting in an airport somewhere waiting for a flight. He would get a notification, and on his cell phone, and he could just log in right there and approve this. Let's see. Malone, admin. All right, so he's going to do the same thing. It's going to say there's one thing waiting. Open it up. Let's check and see, what Larry said about this. He could go to the notes, and he could see anything that that goes along with this invoice. He's going to go ahead and approve it, and he's done. It's going to pop out of his workflow. So now these invoices have gone on. They've been approved, and they've gone on to where we need to pay them. So again, maybe I'm the AP admin, or the person who is assigned to pay invoices. I would see these in my workflow inbox and know, okay, what do we need to do? We need to pay, and we need to file these. So let's go ahead and do that. So we know these have been through the approval process. What we need to do is we need to pay them. We're going to go ahead and pay the invoice. Dokmee's going to ask us a couple of questions. How did we pay it? Okay, we paid it by check number, let's say check number 123, and approve that. It's going to ask us the date. When did we pay it? Okay, today's the 5th of May, 05, 2017. All right, so now that invoice has been paid. It's going to pop out of her view, and Dokmee is going to take it to its final, park it in its final place. And we're going to go find it here in a second. Let's go and let's do this one as well. It'll work the exact same way. It's been approved. You can look and see the status. So she's going to go ahead and pay it. They're going to ask her, how do we pay it? Check. Let's see. Check number 456. Let's approve that. That's the date. Let's say we paid this one last month. So we paid it in April, 04/05, 2017. Approve that. Okay, so both of these invoices, we've taken them and we have run them through the entire approval process. We've done that in a matter of 10 minutes. Something like this typically takes a company weeks to do. Let's go find these invoices, because what Dokmee does, it knows based on when these things were paid, where we're going to file them. If we go to this folder here, it says 2017 paid invoices. I'm going to go look, and these are the two that we just did. Remember, I put the date for one in April, the date for one in May. So we can go ahead and open it up. And so these are completely done. We'll take a look at one. That way. Like this. All right, so let's open it up. So this invoice has gone through the complete process. It is completely indexed now, so it is completely searchable. Also, when we're pulling these invoices in, we are OCRing them as well. So in the event we needed to pull to locate this invoice and we did not have any of this information, maybe all we had was a product name or a product number or something like that, we could also run a full text search on it. If you look here to the right, when these things come in, we OCR them. So this thing has been paid, completely indexed, and it is fully searchable, safe and stored where it needs to be in Dokmee. All right, next I'm going to show how easy it is to create a workflow. I'll just quickly let's go over here, and I will show you, these are the workflows that we just looked at. So for the process that we just went through, if we wanted to create a new workflow, we could go ahead and do that. We'll just call this one test. So what we would do is we're just going to, to make some, we're just, let's say, call this one rename. So let's say we want to rename a document. We know an invoice comes in, based on the name of that document. It's going to have the vendor name in it, and we want to use that to populate the vendor index or something like that. With Dokmee, we could quickly do something like that. What we're going to do is just use a rule, so we can do different things. We can stamp documents, update indexes, email them, move them around, send them to different workflows, make decisions on them. This one would be very simple. We're just going to update an index. What we want to do is we want to update the vendor name with, let's see, want to update the vendor name with value, or prompt a user to update the vendor name. We could do something like that. We could also take something and look at, let's see, we're going to move it to a folder. Target folder is invoices for payment. Okay. Anytime we see something that, let's say the status of that invoice has been approved. So something maybe, let's see, contains, no, not contains, equals. Maybe an invoice needed to be, or was approved by someone in the company and put in as a one-off. We could route it around that way as well. So it's very, very easy, to create these rules to make a workflow, and then once we create the workflows, we can tie them all together to do some really complex things. And the last thing I wanted to show y'all today is the zone recognition that we use to pull those indexes. We go ahead and close this. We'll do something very quickly. Call this one test. Okay, so what we do is we create the indexes. Let's just say vendor or invoice number. And we want to have another one like invoice or vendor name. Vendor name. Okay, so based on that, we can go and pull those using just create a template to pull that information. Let's go ahead and import something to use. We imported one of these. So what we could do now is we can go ahead and set up those zones to pull that information off. Very simple. We could do something like this. Take it, we're looking for the invoice number. We're going to make a big zone over that. That way, if the document varies a little bit, it's not a problem. We can still pull the information. And we're going to make that the invoice number. We'll give it an anchor point after the number sign, a colon, add label. And if you look down here in the preview, it says 91234. That's the invoice number. So that zone is set. It's that easy. If you wanted to do one for, let's say, the vendor name, go ahead and do that as well. Let's go ahead and go down here. The vendor name is right here, Office Gemini. We could do the same thing, pull it over. And make name the anchor point. And if you look down here at the preview, it says Office Gemini. So with Dokmee, we could go in, if we had barcodes, if we had other things, we could set up zones to pull that. It's very, very easy. Once we get this set up, then like before, when I pull those invoices in, everything is automatically populated. So that is what I had to show everyone today. That concludes our presentation. If anyone, or I guess now we can open it up for questions. I'm sure Scott and Arlene have been busy. I want to thank everyone for attending today. If you have any additional questions or we can help you in any way, we can also be reached at sales@dokmee.com.